हम्म, और आप कैसे हैं?
And I am doing good, and I have few questions for you today to discuss with you.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, प्लीज गो अहेड।
Yes, I just want to know how the teachings of Jiddu Krishnamurthy is different from Osho and other spiritual leaders.
ओके। देयर इज वन थिंग व्हिच इज वेरी सिंपल। If you look at the history of all the teachers or spiritual teachers or spiritual masters और जितने भी धार्मिक गुरु रहे हैं, सबने अपने अपने तरीके से, अपने अपने मतलब पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सत्य को समझाने की कोशिश करी। सबने अपने तरीके से, दे ऑल हैव ट्राइड टू टीच the essence of spirituality, which is being yourself and self realization, atmagyan or brahma gyan, and understanding yourself. So all these spiritual leaders, all these spiritual teachers, or I would say the spiritual thinkers or religious leaders, they all have taught the reality, or I would say the truth. And truth is understanding yourself, atmagyan, self realization. Not only Jiddu Krishnamurti, I would say, and Osho, if you pick some other religious teachers in last 300 or 400 years, or in few centuries, you can talk about Swami Ramakrishna Paramhans, Swami Vivekanand, and Sant Tukaram, and Paramhans Yoganand. जितने भी आध्यात्मिक गुरु रहे हैं, जितने भी विचारक रहे हैं, इन सब ने एक ही चीज पे फोकस करा है कि अपने आप को समझें और अपने जीवन को कोई मकसद दें, और अपने जीवन को मकसद देने के साथ साथ समाज में कुछ सेवा करें जो कि एक सेल्फलेस सर्विस हो, और सनातन धर्म का प्रचार करें। तो जिद्द कृष्ण मूर्ति और ओशो में जो फर्क है वो टेक्निक का फर्क है। उन्होंने जो तरीका जो अपनाया है उस तरीके में थोड़ा सा फर्क है, आई वुड से। ओशो के बारे में अगर मैं कहना चाहूँ तो ओशो, हालांकि वो बहुत ही, वो एक संत परिवार से आते हैं, क्योंकि वो एक जैन परिवार से आते हैं। और उनके बारे में जैसा, अगर जहां तक मैं जानता हूँ, वो वैसे ही फिलोसफी के, दर्शन शास्त्र के बहुत बहुत ही विद्वान स्टूडेंट रहे हैं, वो स्कॉलर रहे हैं। और उसी दर्शन शास्त्र को उन्होंने अपने जीवन में लोगों को सनातन धर्म या आध्यात्मिक ज्ञान के रूप से समझाने की कोशिश करी। हालांकि उनको बड़ा स्ट्रगल करना पड़ा था इंडिया के अंदर, क्योंकि वो बड़े तार्किक तरीके से बात करते थे। ही ऑलवेज यूज टू टॉक अबाउट थिंग्स बेस्ड ऑन लॉजिक और रैशनैलिटी। तो हुआ क्या कि उनका जो तरीका था थोड़ा सा वो कहानियों पे आधारित था। वो किसी को आध्यात्मिक चीजों को समझाने के लिए कहानियों का बहुत सहारा लेते थे। और उन्होंने बहुत, मतलब कहानियों के माध्यम से स्पिरिचुअलिटी को बहुत फैलाया भी है। चाहे आप हिंदुस्तान का नाम ले लो, चाहे आप यूरोपियन कंट्रीज का नाम ले लो, चाहे अमेरिका का नाम ले लो, और चाहे आप दूसरी कंट्रीज का नाम ले लो। तो ओशो की टीचिंग्स में और जिद्दू कृष्णमूर्ति की टीचिंग में थोड़ा सा फर्क है, आई वुड से। और जिद्दू कृष्णमूर्ति की जो टीचिंग थी वो थोड़ा सा, आई वुड से, बहुत ही प्लेन, मतलब बहुत ही सादगी वाली टीचिंग थी। जिद्दू कृष्णमूर्ति को सुन के या पढ़ के आपको थोड़ा सा लगेगा कि मतलब आई कैनॉट टॉलरेट इस टीचिंग। जिद्दू कृष्णमूर्ति की जो टीचिंग है आप उसको जल्दी से टॉलरेट नहीं कर पाओगे, और उनको समझने के लिए आपको बहुत ज्यादा ध्यान देना पड़ेगा। यू हैव टू फोकस on every word what Jiddu Krishnamurti used to say. And on the contrary, if you are listening to Osho, you will find Osho's way of telling a story is little fascinating, a little bit attractive. But on this side, Krishnamurti is quite plain, like no, story, no jokes, and no reference. He used to generally talk about what you are right now, what is your real life, what is happening in the society, and why there is so much conflict, why there is so much division in the society, and where the humanity is going. Got it? So that's what was the basic criteria of Jiddu Krishnamurti's teaching. And one thing you will find, which is quite big difference in the life which was lived by Osho and the life which was lived by Jiddu Krishnamurti. Jiddu Krishnamurti, had no, this lavish life. He was only a simply thinker. Jiddu Krishnamurti never talked about any organization. He was never in support of any organization. He never supported any authority. He was even against the authority which is established by religion, established by any institution or any governance in the context of spirituality. Getting it? But Osho never talked about all these things. Osho always talked about the understanding yourself and living your life, celebrating your life, and living your life fully. So दोनों का जो क्राइटेरिया था टीचिंग्स का वो बहुत ज्यादा फर्क नहीं था. बट इफ यू आस्क माय ओपिनियन, आई वुड से जिदु कृष्णमूर्ति की टीचिंग्स को पढ़ने के बाद आप जीवन को बहुत साधारण तरीके से समझ सकते हो. मतलब ये ओशो की मैं बुराई नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मैंने ओशो को भी पढ़ा है, लेकिन जिद्दू कृष्णमूर्ति जीवन की ना, मतलब जीवन की बहुत ही होने वाली डेली घटनाओं के बारे में बात करते हैं. अगर आप दुखी हो तो वो ये नहीं बोलेंगे कि आप दुखी हो तो पिछले कर्मों की वजह से हो. वो सिंपल बोलेंगे अगर आप दुखी हैं तो दुखी क्यों है. ठीक है, ये दुख का कारण क्या है, इसकी उत्पत्ति कहाँ से होती है. ठीक है, और आप कैसे इसको इम्प्रूव कर सकते हो, कैसे इसको समझ सकते हो. एंड लेट मी टेल यू, इन माय ओपिनियन, जैसा कि मैंने सुना भी है, जिद्दू कृष्णमूर्ति was far more intelligent than Socrates, Pluto, and any other philosopher the world has ever seen. Yes, because I have studied Jiddu Krishnamurti and Osho both. Jiddu Krishnamurti के बारे में बोला, even Sadhguru said once that people like Jiddu Krishnamurti are born only, only among the category of 1,000 people in the world. I'm telling you, even like the intelligence that Jiddu Krishnamurti had, you can find that kind of intelligence, or you may find that kind of intelligence in less than 1,000 people on the planet. So understanding Jiddu Krishnamurti was very difficult. Reading him was very difficult. Following his teaching was very difficult because he simply talked about the basic life. Whereas Osho was stories, the jokes, references, and a lot of other things. So listening to Osho will never be boring. Let me tell you, it's not going to be boring. You listen to his podcast, the audio files, you will not feel bored listening to Osho. But listening to Jiddu Krishnamurti itself is a meditation because it demands so much focus and attention. The moment you divert your attention to his speech or to reading to something else, you have lost Jiddu Krishnamurti. So Jiddu Krishnamurti reading or listening itself is a meditation. And basically, I'm not saying that other is better than the other one. They both have taught reality and the truth of life. So जितने भी गुरु होते हैं वो सारे अपने अपने तरीके से सत्य बताते हैं. बट हाँ, ओशो की लाइफ बड़ी कॉन्ट्रोवर्शियल रही है. उनके पास सुनने में आता है कि 250 से 300 उनके पास रॉयल्स रॉयल्स थी. उन्होंने अमेरिका में एक नया शहर बनाने की कोशिश करी जिसका नाम था रजनीशपुरम. और इंडिया में उनको सपोर्ट नहीं मिली क्योंकि वो बहुत ही ज्यादा तार्किक थे और बहुत ज्यादा वो लॉजिकल चीजों से काम करते थे. So when he was in India, so the that time Indira Gandhi was prime minister. I'm talking about this time. So he never got support from that government that time. So he was only supported by people from America or India. उसके followers ही उसको support करते थे. किसी government ने उसको support नहीं करा. But only person who challenged every faith and every belief system just because of logical approach is that's Osho, or I would say Jiddu Krishnamurti. Jiddu Krishnamurti is far more logical than Osho.
Okay.
हाँ, जितने भी आपको ये मिलते हैं आजकल, जो आजकल की बताते हैं, Sadhguru generally speaks whatever Osho and Jiddu Krishnamurti has spoken almost a century back.
Okay.
So I don't find that Sadhguru has spoken something special. No. Even Sadhguru has spoken some of the stories or references which Jiddu Krishnamurti has spoken almost a century back.
Fine.
Yeah. So, and I would say Jiddu Krishnamurti is, I personally say Jiddu Krishnamurti is more grounded, and more practical. Or
Mhm.
even, like Osho has followed sometimes, the examples of Jiddu Krishnamurti.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you quote one or two quotes from Jiddu Krishnamurti? Like what main thing he talked about?
See, Jiddu Krishnamurti once said that life cannot be lived in cave or
Hmm.
any isolation.
Hmm.
Life can be lived only by living among people. You cannot understand yourself in isolation. He said a lot
Right.
of things. He said a lot of things. Both the
Hmm.
spiritual teachers have said a lot of things. Paramans Yoganand has said a lot of things. Swami Krishna, Ramakrishna Paraman said a lot of things. And all the teachers have, different way of saying different aphorism or different words. But they all revolve around one thing. That's the reality of Sanatan Dharma, the essence of Sanatan Dharma. So Jiddu Krishnamurti said that Jiddu Krishnamurti talked about practical life. Got it.
Hmm.
Not all people can go to Himalayas and sit for meditation for decades and many years. So Jiddu
Hmm.
Krishnamurti said that you need to understand yourself in relation to other people.
Hmm.
Got it.
Right.
And like like walls and furnitures, and I would say the trees and all these rivers, they cannot make you angry. Only people can make you angry. Right?
Absolutely.
So you need
Yes.
to understand your anger in relation to other people. So this
Correct.
was one of the examples which Jiddu Krishnamurti has taught in his teaching,
Yes.
which
It
Osho
is
has
easy
shown.
to sit in isolated place and do penance than staying in the society and living with other people.
Yeah. So that's quite practical, like you
Hmm.
cannot understand yourself in isolation. You need to understand, because you are going to live life with people. You are going to live in society. You have to handle
Correct.
people. You have to live with people. So you cannot escape yourself from this reality. And
Yes.
whereas,
Because everybody is different, and so we need to tolerate all the kind of people surrounding us. That requires more patience, tolerance, understanding,
and
and
one more example,
maturity.
yeah, one example from Osho, like Rajnish Osho. One person, went to Osho and said that I have renounced this world. Like I've, given up this physical reality, and I've renounced this, world. So Osho asked him, how can you say that you have renounced this world? You are still on the planet. You are still living your life. So going to Himalayas, going to caves, and going to sitting for hours for meditation on a bank of river, and sitting under waterfalls is not going to make you saint. It's not going to make you liberated, or you're not going to be, you're going to be moksha. Got it. So you have to live your life with practical people. You have to live in the society, and that's the way of understanding yourself, not in isolation, but in connection with people.
Yes,
So these are, these people have taught so many things which nowadays the people talk about.
right.